This is Chicken Ball. Come at us, bro.
Welcome back to the Chicken Ball Pod. I'm your host this week, Andrew. I'm joined so far by Mort. Mort, how's it going?
Excellent, man. Excellent. Hey, I do want to say something right off the bat, Andrew.
Please.
You'll notice that I'm wearing a kit. I don't normally wear kits on here. It's a very special kit, something very close to my heart. I have been noticing on social media that you have been bashing Davinson Sanchez, who is obviously Tottenham through and through. He's a very misunderstood defender, very much like the person on the back of this kit. So I just wanted to be able to express my support for the person who wears the jersey, right? The logo in the front's always bigger than the name on the back, right? So if someone's wearing the kit, they are Tottenham through and through. So I think when we think about misunderstood defenders, I mean, Yunus Kabul, the bald Frenchman, he's one of the most misunderstood defenders of all time. So I just wanted to give a shout out to all the defenders that Andrew has hated in the past. And now Sanchez seems to have joined the list.
To be fair, though, I do hate on Davinson Sanchez as opposed to Davinson Sanchez.
Oh, shit.
So let's clarify that. Hey, I'm a big Vlad Kirikesh fan, to be totally fair. I mean, that when he was falling down drunk eating hot dogs.
Wait, that was the night of his wedding, right? Like, wasn't he
I think
like
so,
his wedding?
yeah.
Oh, that was
it could have been a typical like Thursday night for him. You really wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, and then then we had Fazio, who then goes on to play like in the Champions League quarterfinals.
That's right.
It was an absolute rock for them. So.
It was funny that year.
Maybe it's us.
I think the year we got Fazio was the same year we got Dyer, and I remember running into both of them at the Stansted Airport. Like, I think it was during the international break, and they were both either coming in or going out. Seeing both those guys, I just happened to be there at the same time. Anyways, so Spurs top of the league for the second week in a row, dominating the Premier League. Liverpool are behind on goal differential. When you see Liverpool go joint top, well, no, they don't, because there's only one top, right? Goal difference does count for a reason. There's a reason there's tiebreakers. So no, Liverpool are in second place, which is admirable, on its own, but they're not co-leaders.
No, I agree, and I think it's very important to make that distinction that we are now top of the league. And I think if we no longer win, that stupid ass joke about us coming, second and like a third and second horse race actually would make sense, because we are technically top of the league. We were never top of the league that year. But yeah, I think we're there, but it's kind of scary. Like, I kind of don't want to be. I'd rather be in second all season than come in first the last day of the season, as opposed to being first all season. I just don't know if we have it in us to not lose our fucking shit,
It's a long haul. It's a tough trophy to win, right? Like, it's not like most sports that we follow where you just have to get in and hit your stride at the right time. Like, it is a tough trophy to win, for sure. I mean, it's probably why I think, when you ask somebody, would you prefer the Champions League or Premier League? I think a lot of people would say the Premier League, because it's so hard to win, and you're playing teams who do scout you closely every single week. Especially your rivals. But anyways, Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, 0-0 draw. Was the lineup surprising to you in any way?
No, I mean, I think the lineup is what everybody expected, right? I mean, I think it was great to see your boy Rodon get a start. I think he did. Well, we'll talk about that in a moment. I'm sure you're going to bring up some bullshit questions about him, but I think the lineup is what we expected, right? We know what we're getting. It's good to see Stevie Bergwijn starting out there, right? And he did good, right? Like, he put in a shift. I think you could have easily seen Lucas or Bale start, but I think we're now seeing established rotations, and we're seeing established preferred lineups by Jose in like the Europa League, right? So we're seeing Lucas and Bale more on that side, which is fine. So again, nothing surprised me about the lineup, although it's surprising to see Stevie and Rodon get a start. The lineup itself was not surprising, right? That's kind of what we expected,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we saw a couple days before that it sounded like Rodon was going to play. And like you said, I thought he did fine. Obviously, a couple of nervy moments, which he came out and owned. But like I said about him, like, those are not things he's not going to learn from, right? Like, it's unlikely we're going to see him, lob the ball back to Loris, with Giroud right behind him anytime again soon. It was kind of when Tanganga, when he played against Liverpool, like, he stayed in the match, and it happened to be when Firmino scored last year. But like, it wasn't something you look at and think, oh man, he's going to make that mistake all the time. Like, it was an experience thing. It was a nerves thing. And that's something he's going to get over. And, again, like, the bottom line is we kept a clean sheet, and against a team, Chelsea, that's an impressive thing. So, it's been really nice to see, while maybe we're not putting the ball in the back of the net 5 times, like, it is comforting to know that we can keep the ball out of our own net.
Yeah. And I mean, I think your point on Rodon, I think he will learn faster than Tanganga. And the reason I say that, Andrew, is because one, He's more experienced. He is an experienced football player. He's been playing for a long time. Doesn't matter if it's at Swansea, but he's been playing for a long time. Second, plays for his country. He starts for his country. So he's a quality player. I thought he had multiple blunders that Chelsea did not capitalize on, which is good for us. We kept a clean sheet away at Stamford Bridge. I think it was the first time in 8 years we've done that or something along those lines, right? So I'm happy with everything. I'm happy with the result. I mean, I don't know if you remember last week when Ryan and I were talking about this, even in our thread, I was very nervous for this match, specifically because I felt that Chelsea has the firepower to counter us when we were countering them. And we saw that a couple times, right? That Mason Mount shot, I mean, that should have been a goal had it not been for Hugo being so aware. I think they had a couple of the good chances. I think that Reece James was putting in some phenomenal crosses. And I think if Tammy Abraham wasn't fucking horrible at football, we would have been down 2 or 3 goals, right? You send those crosses to Giroud, he's going to score on at least one of those. So I think that they had the right tactics against us. They created the right chances to win. But I think you said it best. It was a clean sheet. We have a stout defense. We're defending as a unit, and we got a few lucky breaks, and that's fine. I'll take it.
Well, and again, if you believe in XG, I did have a quick look. It was 0.86 for Chelsea. I think 0.19 for us, which probably isn't shocking. But I mean, it still shows that we weren't likely to concede a goal. Like you said, somebody else could have gotten on the end of those. But that's that's the way it goes, right? I mean, it was the same as when Aurier took a good shot, the first half. That very likely could have been a goal. If Kepa had been in net, it probably would have.
Yeah, right, exactly.
like that. Again, like we had a couple of chances. Stevie did have that chance, at the beginning there. Unfortunately, he put over. He's leaning back a little bit. But I'm glad you actually mentioned him because he's a guy that's been getting a lot of flack. I mean, to me, it seems pretty simple. Is still genuinely coming back from injury. Like he had a bad injury last year. I think we forget about that because of how fucked up the season was in terms of the starts and stops. But he came in, he scored a goal against City. He had at least 1 or 2 more goals in subsequent games. And then he had that bad injury. I can't even remember what it was now, but it was a 6 to 8 week injury, right? The only reason we ever saw him again was because the season was delayed for a couple of months there. So, it's not shocking that, he's still trying to find his form. I mean, he's not the kind of guy that I would, would dump on like other players. Cause this seems genuinely, he's still trying to get, his feet under him.
No doubt. I mean, I think, I think there's talent across our lineup, right? I mean, I think our depth is incredible. I think that being in first place and not having all your key players firing, I think that in itself is a fucking accomplishment, right? Most teams, when their key players are injured, hurt, or not in form, they lose points. And those teams have been us in the past, right? Yeah. We have dropped points where our key players are out of form. Now we've got multiple players who are out of form, who are coming off injury, who are injured, who are not 100%, but we're still in first place. So I think that says a lot.
Well, it brings up a good point, actually, because Bale obviously didn't play against Chelsea. Some people wanted to start. Some people wanted to see him come on when it was a deadlock. I mean, you were calling for it. I saw other people calling for it as well. No, it's going to be Mora who comes on because of the defensive shift that he can do in a game like that. And, it was interesting, texting with a couple of my buddies who are Chelsea fans. They said, well, why is Bale not starting? Why is Bale not coming on? But obviously we read all the articles, we watch the analysis, we watch all the matches. It wasn't surprising for us, but I think it speaks to your point. He should be, you think, will be one of our best players, when he's fully fit and acclimatized again to playing. But it's really not that big of a deal that he's playing in the Europa League matches. I didn't really see anybody get angry the fact that he didn't play.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone's upset at all. I think, again, that is another one of our key players who has not quite found his form, yet we're still winning. But see, here's the thing, Andrew. Is he going to start this week, Thursday, against LASK? Absolutely. Yeah. And right. And the thing is, he has already gotten us 3 points, right? Who was that against West Brom?
Yeah.
Right.
It was
who was it?
Brighton, wasn't it?
Was it? Yeah. Anyway, the point being, he's already got us 3 points, right? So you're right. I don't think anyone's miffed that he didn't start. If he doesn't start the NLD, I will not be miffed. I fully expect him to play against LASK, and I fully expect him to do his job and keep gaining form. What I would love to see is this. What I would love to see is us come through this stretch of hell matches that we have, right? We got Arsenal. We still got Liverpool, Palace, Wolves. We've got a bunch of shit coming up. How incredible would it be that we come out of this fatigued and tired and beaten and bruised, and come January, Bale's like, all right, guys, I'm in form. I got this. And now the fucker takes off. And for the next 5 months, he bangs in 10, 15 goals. I mean, so like same thing with Delhi, right? I mean, you can say the same thing with Delhi Ali. I mean, he is not in form right now, but imagine what happens over the next month. We go through this stretch of hell, we come out, and suddenly Bale and Delhi step up and said, okay, guys, we got this. And now these guys are pumping in the goals for us. So I'm not that upset that Bale's not performing right now. I'm not that upset that Delhi's not performing right now.
Yeah.
We're using Delhi, we're using Bale, we're using them in ways that allow other players to get rest, right? Like there's a reason that Sonny's not having to play against LASK, because we've got Bale and Delhi, and Lucas will do that instead. So they may not be on the pitch on the key matches, but I think they're contributing in very like meaningful ways.
Well, and I think too, a guy we didn't even mention, Eric Lamela, right? Like, and again, going with that is you need different players to hit their peaks at different times. Like, it's likely that all of your players or all your key players are going to be hitting their peak the entire season. Like, I actually think the fact that it's only this year that Liverpool has really seen injuries is kind of miraculous. Like, they didn't have a lot of depth, but they did keep firing, for basically, 18 minutes there when they captured. But I think more often than not, you need a squad of players, and you need guys to hit their peaks. Right on cue, we got Scott coming in. Scott, we're complimenting Lamela, just saying that, leading in, from Gareth Bale not playing, but we don't really need him to play right now. Like Mort had said, come the new year, what if Bale's found his footing by then? And now we've got a guy who can put in, 10 some assists and, and kind of create havoc in that front three, and Lamela being another guy like that. But, Scott, I'll pivot to you just even quickly here on a fan question. We talked a little bit about Joe Rodon and his relatively impact. And so we had a question from Impo saying, does the recent form of the team, I assume he means, make it more or less likely that we're going to sign a center back in January?
Didn't I already answer this?
Yeah, you
Twitter?
did, but nobody reads our stuff, and they're probably not going to watch it either. Here's your second take.
Oh, man, I thought I was in the wrong chat for a second, but here we go. No, man, I think it's a fair question. I think for me, with Dobinson, I think, of course, we're bantering each other on Twitter, and I use the word talent. I recognize that he's not shown a ton of that lately, but I do think it's there, and it's not always going to be permanent. I think with him, he's getting 90 minutes a week right now. So like, it's hard for me to say that he's like not in the manager's plans, because he's playing 90 minutes every week. He's just not playing in the premier competition. And unfortunately, Dyer and Toby are a very strong partnership. And, as soon as Toby back, he's gonna have more work in front of him to try to get back into that preferred pairing. But earlier in the year, it was Dyer and Sanchez that we saw as that preferred pairing. I think that who we used against United. I'm pretty sure it was Dyer and Sanchez.
Yeah, it was, because it was Sanchez that gave away the penalty 45 seconds of the match.
Oh, perfect. Never mind. Scratch my argument from the record. But no, I mean, I think, he's getting minutes. And so for me, I would say this: if he's vital, like make weight in a move to get a Skriniar in or something like that, then I'm probably okay with it. But like, I don't think we should be actively trying to move somebody on who is getting 90 minutes a week and has performed well at some point. His first two seasons, he did do a good job. Now, in each of those two seasons, he was alongside a Toby or a Jan, like in the absolute prime of their career, when they were maybe the two best center backs in England and arguably in Europe, to some degree. Europe's a bit of an exaggeration, but the point stands, they were very good then. So I think that played into it, but he's played well before, and so I'd like to see if he can come out of this. I will also say we know what Jose said in the documentary too, so he may actually have just too steep of a hill to climb, but time will tell.
Yeah, fair enough. And again, to your point, and Mort's been saying this all along, like, you need depth, like you need guys to play in these multiple competitions. We haven't even got back into the cup games yet. We still got 2 of those left, right? Players are going to have to play. And like, that's something that I've been saying kind of, 2 years back when these guys were having to start, that I was perfectly fine having them as squad players. I think you run into the issue when they don't see themselves as squad players. Like, you have a guy like Davies. I think Davies is pretty happy to do his job. He's not going to kick up a fuss. But I mean, again, to be fair, he is older now, whereas, Sanchez and a guy like Winks, they are still young. And again, if they feel that, they should be getting more minutes in the Premier League and in the highest competitions, then all the best to them. Like, I respect that if they can do it. I don't know with us, but I mean, again, more now you follow the finances, and you would have known that, Tottenham released a statement saying that they're going to lose upwards of 150 million for the closure. So the second part to Impo's question was, what would it take to see a meaningful move, a transfer move in January, taking that, that loss into account?
I think loss aside, Andrew, I think you have to look at the landscape, right? Like we have to see how this month goes. Let's see how this goes. We are in the stretch of hell. I'm telling you, man, we come out of this top of the league, we're not buying shit. There's no fucking way anyone's buying anything. There's no reason because even if you can get a Skriniar by moving Sanchez, why would you harm the harmony of the squad? There's
Agreed.
no reason. It would seem like nothing more than a money grab. It would seem like nothing more than a impulsive choice. Like you buy players to make your squad better. If your squad is already better, why are you buying more players? There is something to be said about harmony. And that's like Jose is the king of harmony. Now, if Jose comes out in January and says, hey, listen, for me to finish the season off top of the league, I need to buy Skriniar, then fine, that's different. But I just don't see him doing that. Like he's got this squad humming and buzzing, and they're not even at 100% yet. Like you said, like Lamella's not even out there yet. Deli's not out there. Bale's not out there. We've got guys like Lucas, who is now playing Europa, and he's absolutely crushing it there, right? So I just don't think we need it. Now, I think injury could have a big thing to say about this. We've been lucky with our center backs. We've really only lost Tanganga, who's not a starter for us in any capacity, and we just lost Toby for only 4 weeks. We're supposed to, like if we had lost Toby for 4 months, I think every Spurs fan has an argument to make about buying someone in January, but we've got good defenders, man. Like Rodon stepped up. He's going to get registered for Europa, the group stage, right? So what's going to happen? Toby comes back. Now you've got a starting pairing of Toby and Dyer, which can be switched up with Rodon if somebody gets hurt. Maybe Sanchez if somebody gets hurt. Then in like Europa, you will have Sanchez and Rodon, and you've got Tanganga. So I mean, like,
yeah, well said.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can always upgrade your squad. There's not a single player on our squad that cannot be upgraded, right? We don't have a single player. Even Harry Kane can be upgraded with Lewandowski. That may be a hot take, but
I agree. The only name on the planet, but I agree.
Yeah, right, exactly. But so that's why that argument is always so illogical to me. You can upgrade anyone at any point in time, but why? If our squad comes out of this stretch of hell, and again, shit, man, we got 4 points out of Chelsea and City. I did not expect that. Like, let's be real, right?
Yeah. Well,
reasonable fan didn't expect that. So why change the harmony? Why?
Yeah, I'm going to add to that too, quick. I think we are seeing these links to these, Brighton type. I can't remember his name today. Brighton central defender we're linked here right now. A couple of championship guys, and then thank you. And then this report coming out of Football 90, which does end up being pretty reputable most of the time, saying that we're not looking to spend more than 15 million on a center back. And I think that checks out with exactly what Mort's saying, because I think we do have harmony. We're first place in the league. You bring Skriniar in, like, you have to play him, or you're going to have somebody who's pretty upset on your hands, and that causes issues, and the locker room is troublesome. You need to bring in a guy probably right now who's good enough to challenge, but isn't expected to like get minutes right away.
Well, yeah, and then right, and why would you bring in Skriniar from a different league to then give him a month or a month and a half to come up to speed? That's now 4 to 6 weeks of matches lost by a guy coming up to speed. Why? Unless we go out and get a guy like a Thiago who can literally walk into any team anywhere in the world, or like a Ramos who can literally walk into any team anywhere in the world and make a contribution on day one. There is no point. Skriniar is a phenomenal defender. He cannot walk in day one and suddenly be up to speed in the Premier League or Jose's tactics. So again, I think if we get like a major injury, yes, let's go buy someone. If we have suddenly a steep fall off in form over the next 4 weeks where we start dropping points when we shouldn't because of our center backs, then let's go buy someone. If we come out of this stretch and we're still in first, please do not buy anything. We have depth, we have harmony. Let's just fucking ride with it, right?
Yeah, fair point. Like I know I'd said, kind of early on in the season, if we can hover around the title race until the window and then sign a proper CB. But, I also didn't think things would improve as quickly as they had, and they have improved. Like set pieces, we were terrible on set pieces again this season. We haven't really talked about that. Like that has not been an issue in kind of the past 3, 4, 5 games now. The fact that we are keeping the ball out of the net, I do totally agree. Like as much as I'd like to see a guy like Skriniar, he is coming from another league. It's not like Van Dijk did for Liverpool when he just, had to drive up the country, and he played in the Premier League for years on it. Like it would be a fat adaptation, and that is a big risk when you're bringing in. Again, I don't know if he's a huge personality, but he's well known enough that he'd command a decent fee, and then there were expectations there. Not to mention the fact that Ryan said he was Slovenian, and he's very clearly Slovakian. So that basically makes any analysis that Ryan says a completely moot point. But
dude, Ryan deflects so much bullshit I would normally get from you guys away. So I love you. I love you for that, Ryan. Thanks for taking the brunt of some of that. But
yeah, he did. Okay, so we got LASK coming up this weekend. You know, you always say, you know, you don't want to look ahead and you don't want to look at past games. I mean, people are, right? Like the team probably for the fact that we've got Arsenal and, you know, most likely, you know, Spurs will get through, you know, this round. If they win this week, you know, we will be through to the knockout round. Still, you don't expect, you know, Mourinho to take it lightly. I mean, Scott, I'll ask you, do you expect to see, you know, a full 10-man rotation again or close to it like we did last week?
I think so, man. Midfield's definitely going to be rotated. We got way too big of a game on the weekend to use any of them, you know, for more than 20, 30 minutes, in my opinion, tops. Forwards will most definitely be rotated. That's just a given. I think the back line, you know, because of injuries, there's a little bit of interpretation there. I'd say Davey starts at left back. I'd say Doherty starts at right back. In the middle, I don't know. You know, I'd like to see Tanganga and Tanganga and Sanchez probably. You give Dyer a rest. Dyer's the most important person on the pitch for me on Sunday. Sunday, right? Yeah. So I think, Tanganga and Sanchez makes a lot of sense, and then I think Joe Hart gets the start again. And I think a point gets us through the group, right?
Yeah.
Point gets us through the group. So honestly, like, of course we're going to go for the throats, but no reason we won't rotate pretty heavily, set up to at least get the point, if not the 3, you know, and be done. And ideally, we just go for the 3 points. Then that last game doesn't even matter. And last game would be Antwerp too, right? So I think it's important that we get a result this game for sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking there's something we said about coming at number 1 in this group just for the pairing, right? I think we can do it, right? Now LASK is still, you know, second in the Austrian league. They did beat Royal Antwerp, you know, already in the Europa League. So yeah. I mean, we shouldn't take it too lightly, but I think ultimately you're right. What I don't want to see happen is us thinking about Sunday and then we suddenly lose or some stupid shit like that, right? Like we have to come out. I think we should only be going for 3 points, which I think we can. I think with that backline, we certainly can. I mean, listen, man, our front 3 is going to be Bale, Lucas, and Vinicius. Like with that front 3, we should be able to pass, right? Like, so I'm not terribly worried, but I do think it's important to come first out of this group, not second, because we want a good pairing. Because remember, all the Champions League teams are dropping in, right? So
Real Madrid's coming down.
Right. We don't want to get paired with some bullshit team that just drops because we were too lazy in the group. I would much rather be, you know, because again, our points, what is that? The fucking point system for it's totally our you know the fucking team ranking in for like UEFA. Our coefficient, right? So like our coefficient's quite high, right? So like our coefficient's quite high. So when we get dropped in for the pool, we're going to be one of the top tier teams. So we don't want to get stuck with some bullshit team because we were too lazy to get first place in the group, right? So
it definitely makes life a lot harder, you know, and that's the thing, coming first, you know, now I was trying to actually look it up. So, you know, Winks obviously started midfield last week. Who was next to him and start?
Well, what if it was Sissoko and Ndombele? Is that who the midfield was?
Yeah, Ndombele did start. That was unexpected. That was the one unexpected. It was because Lo Celso had picked up a knock in training. Because I think ideally they would have.
Oh, it was Dele. It was Winks. It was Winks.
Where we go? It was Winks. Yes, it was Winks and Ndombele
in Dele.
In midfield, and like Dele played the Ndombele role, I guess. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm have to do the same thing. I mean, I'm looking at the lineup from last week, and I think, Scotty, you just like hit this, right? Hart, Doherty, Sanchez, Tanganga, Davies, Winks and Ndombele, Bale, Dele, Mora, Vinicius. I mean, I think we'll more than likely see something very similar. It would be nice to be able to move Ndombele out for maybe a Sissoko or maybe even a Gio. Or I don't like seeing Ndombele starting in Europa, especially if it would be nice to have him fully rested for Arsenal. So it would be good to see him be the only person that gets flipped out. But I think even there, again, you want to beat LASK, but you should be able to beat LASK by dropping in Gio, or more importantly, maybe dropping in like a Harvey White. Why not?
Exactly. For real. I'm kind of thinking that too, man. Like, why not throw him next to Winks in a pivot and let Dele kind of roam in the middle? because I'll backtrack. As much as I said Dyer is the most important person on Sunday, it's probably Tongi or the two of them. Right there, 1 and 2. The way he has controlled the midfield in the Premier League, it's just been fucking great.
Mark this point in the pod, because I guarantee you from now until Sunday, we're gonna get Scotty to name another 4 or 5 players who are the most important player. Because on this pod, so he's already changed his mind. It was Dyer, now it's Dyer and Tongi. By the time we're done, I bet you if we play our cards right, we can get him to say all 11 players are the most important players.
All right.
I think Harvey White is the most important player.
No, you know what? The most important person, Joe Hart. He's very vocal. That's what he won't make the 18, but he'll be there. He'll be in the locker room and he'll be very vocal. Extremely important. Lamella, probably the most important player on Sunday against Arsenal. Now that I think about it, man, he's getting 2 ankles. Like, let's go.
Yeah, I agree. No, I miss Lamella. Like, I missed him against Chelsea. I mean, he scored the tying goal, right, against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup match. Like, he does have it in him. Like, do we know what his injury prognosis is? Like, it's a foot injury, but it's been a while now, and it's gone kind of quiet.
I'm sorry, for who? For
Lamella.
Oh yeah, I thought it was supposed to be. Yeah, it was a foot. It was supposed to be short term. So I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, he's not practicing yet. I know that, right? He's not on the pitch. We haven't seen any pictures, at least.
It's always a mystery with him, right? He's always got some knock, and we're not quite sure what it is, and it's a fucking bummer, man. Because that's the thing with him, right? Like we've accepted that now, right? And what Mort and I were talking about just before you came on, Scott, was just around. You need to have different players hitting their peaks at different times. It'd be great to get a guy like that back. Like, we're not expecting single-handedly win us the league, but he's a great guy to bring on. Like, he would have been a perfectly fine addition to bring on against Chelsea last week. Like, it's hilarious watching him play.
What's really interesting, right? Like, what's really interesting is if Lamella is fit for Thursday, he's starting, right? So that means that one of Deli or Lucas or Bale or maybe even Tongi could have been relieved of duty. So I think that injury, again, I think, like Andrew, going back to where this conversation started, these guys are not necessarily pitching in minutes in the Premier League, but that does not mean they're critical. They're not critical elements of our success. If Lamella's fit, then we know Ndombele is not starting. And what does that mean? Ndombele is fully fit for Arsenal. That helps us. So I think just because a player's not on the pitch for a Premier League match does not mean they don't have dramatic implications for our Premier League run,
totally.
Right?
Yeah, totally. Honestly, I feel like, real quick, Lamella, it seems like the type of situation where, like, Mourinho probably came in. Obviously, you don't play, consistently throughout seasons. Do you see yourself being somebody who can play limited minutes and be very effective towards, like, the overall goal of what I'm trying to do? And he seems to be the guy that was like, fuck yeah, baby, let's go. Like, what do you need me to do? I'm there. And he sees more value in that than, like, going to play for a mid-table club consistently. It's like, be Mourinho's, 12th, 13th man, that extra punch off the bench. He's perfect for it, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I was having this argument with somebody because I've got other people who love hating on Lamella, and I'm trying to look up a stat here really quickly, so bear with me. But something I noticed about him is if you look at how the season started, I think in the first 15 matches or 10 or 15 matches, he either was starting or made the bench for every single one of them except for one. So again, another
started most of those. I think even just a couple times where he was a sub.
Yeah, right. For the most part, he's either on the pitch, comes on as a sub, or at least he's making the starting 18. So, I mean, I think that says a lot about it. Listen, Deli's not doing that, and Lamella was. So I think that says a lot about his contributions to the team and also what he can do on the pitch, which is why it's good to have a guy like that either on the bench or, like his cleats on the grass, right?
Yeah, man.
I know that's a great point. Like, I think, and we talked a little bit about that, I think, just over Twitter, the fact, Deli was struggling. I mean, like, Lamella's not a prolific goal scorer by any means, but, like, does things that keep you, in the lineup. Like, he's making tackles, he's getting in guys' faces, he's pressing. Like, they're all basically, like, looking at business terms, they're lead measures, right? Like, they're doing dirty work, the things that lead to your successful measure, your games, goals scored, all that sort of stuff. And so, talk about Deli at length, and hopefully, he's on the way up because he played relatively well last week against obviously opposition. But again, like, you can only play who's in front of you, right? Like, you have to play well, despite, who you're playing against. And so, we want. Speaking
of who's in front of us, when did we start talking about the NLD?
Well, I was going to say, like, we talked about not wanting to look ahead. We basically just bypassed LASK.
I know. I'm
You know,
ready.
last thing I'll say on LASK is we had a second fan question, which is kind of blowing my mind right now. But somebody asked, and I forget the name now, but what's the plan for Ndombele? He's playing 60 minutes, basically a game right now, no more, typically no less. Is that he's played 90 minutes before in his career, but Lo Celso typically seems to be the guy that comes on, finishes the game. But what do you guys think is the long-term plan here?
For me, it's just to keep using both of them in tandem. I don't think they should even play together. They're a great 1-2 punch. They play a similar role a little bit differently, and I think they're competing for 60 minutes versus 30 minutes every match. But they're both going to play almost every game, I think.
That question came from Afro Scott at Afro Scott on Twitter. But yeah, I think that Scotty, I think you're on par there. I think that Ndombele is a 60, 70-minute player. That's where Jose sees him. I think he does enough in 60, 70 minutes to be a key cog in our team. Ideally, I would love to see him play 90. Like, why not, right? Like, he's one of our best players. You want to see him go 90. But if there's injury concerns, there's concerns around fitness, there's concern around just managing his minutes, fine. Like, it's all good. The thing is, it's only a problem when it becomes a problem, right? Thus far, it has not been a problem. I mean, you can make an argument that against West Ham, his inability to play the full 90 cost us points because he had to come off. The people we brought on were not able to be as strong as he was. So you can make that type of an argument. But again, that's water under the bridge. No point in doing any of that. I think that when Gio's come on, I mean, he scored against City, right? So, when he comes on, he's bringing something, he's adding something to the team that
Oh, sorry, man. I just cut you off. But yeah, I think you just make an excellent point is what I was saying. Remember against West Ham, Tanguy came off and Winks came on for Tanguy. And I think at that moment, Jose realized, like, I can't disrupt what I'm doing in the midfield that aggressively. And I think that's why Tanguy and Gio are the great 1-2 punch, because they are different, but they play similar enough to where, like, you can make a like-for-like substitution enough of a degree where you're not going to disrupt what's happening in midfield. But, I think at the time you bring Winks on because we were up 3-0 and it shores us up, and, we're just looking to hold what we have, and it didn't work out that way. And I think maybe Jose took a little bit of a lesson from that. I also think one thing that's interesting about Tanguy, I actually saw this on Twitter today, and first thing I woke up to this morning was a tag here, and it was a fun conversation. But somebody had pointed out that Tanguy, he plays with such a low center of gravity, and he plays so explosively in the way that he uses that low center of gravity. Andrew, you'll like this. I guess Mort and Wisconsin too, but very similar to hockey. And the argument was that hockey is so incredibly taxing because of the low center of gravity and, like, explosiveness required with the sport. Like, I played at a fairly high level. 30, 45 seconds tops were my shifts, right? After 45 seconds, I had to fucking get off the ice because I was fucking gassed, like bagged, man. And that's hockey. And I think Tanguy shows a lot of similar characteristics to the way that a good hockey player plays hockey. It was out of nowhere, the point that was made. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? That actually fucking adds up. And you do see how low he is and how much he explodes out of those low positions. And that's physically taxing.
It is. And I mean, I think you just go back to my favorite Tottenham player of all time, Moussa Dembele. Same exact thing with him. He's such a physical baller. He's a physical player. It beats your body up, man. I mean, it really fucking does, right? Like, you have to manage your minutes. And maybe that's what Jose is doing. Maybe he knows that. Maybe he understands that. And he's like, listen, either I can beat this kid up and have him for 3/4 of the season, or I can manage his minutes and keep him for the whole season. Maybe that's it. But either way, yeah. I think at Arsenal, right? So, I mean, I think against Arsenal, whether he plays 60 or whether he plays 90, we're going to need him, right? So I think, like, really good question, around his management. Ideally, we want him 90, but if he is better at 60 because he lasts longer, I'll take the 60,
I think those are the things that Jose learns too.
How would you guys? No, not at all. How would you guys approach this game? I saw again this flying around. Like, everybody wants to beat Arsenal 4-5-0. Like, it never typically works out that way. Rarely, anyways. Just like having other times where I thought, we're miles ahead of these guys, and that we might get a draw or it's a narrow win. Like, the closest thing I can remember to kind of beating them up was, a couple of years ago where we won 2-0. Kane scored a penalty, Ali scored. It should have been for 6. I remember Eriksson missed over the bar. Like,
Yeah.
it was a dominant game. Typically, the games aren't like that, though, against Arsenal, and it's obviously a derby. But looking at the teams that have beaten Arsenal, which is a lot of teams right now, the teams that have done particularly well have just gone at them. Wolves did it most recently. So that's been our style for the most part this season. So do you guys think it's going to be similar to the Chelsea and City, where we are sitting back and then just hitting them on the counter? Or do you think that Mourinho is going to want to press them higher?
I know what my preference is. I think my preference is you do what you did to be in first place, and that is to not go after them, right? I mean, yes, not sexy, yes, not pretty, yes, it's not Pochettino-like, but whatever. I want the points. I want the 3 points. We know that if we play our way, we're more than likely going to get 3 points against these guys, right? Like, this fucking Arsenal team, they are trash. They're stupid. Yeah. They have a shit manager. They have a shit midfield. They have poor decision-making. They're going to open themselves up. We will absorb, and somebody will step out of midfield. Like, either it's going to be Ceballos or Xhaka. One of these guys is going to step too far forward, and it's going to let Sonny or Kane get behind him, and it's game fucking over. That's a goal. So I prefer to play like that. I understand what the excitement is and this emotional connection to going after Arsenal and beating him. I don't give a shit, man. I'm here to win trophies, right? Like, we brought Jose to win trophies, not beat Arsenal by 5 goals. Like, what the fuck's the point of beating Arsenal by 5 goals if you suddenly deviate from your strategy, which is working? So I fucking hate Arsenal. They're the team I hate the most, but we can beat them the way we play. There's no reason for us to change that.
Dude, when we lift the Premier League trophy, no one's going to say, like, fuck yeah, baby, we beat Arsenal by 5 back in December. Let's go. Like, whatever, man. And I think I'll add to what you said. You're spot on everything. I'll also say, like, not only is their management, their personnel poor, their organization is poor. They have run themselves into a massive hole. The only way they can sign people is extremely exacerbated, bloated wages of like $350K plus, and these people aren't even that good. They are in a bad spot, and I don't think they'll be back for a while. They also, you hit this on the head, but I'll elaborate on it. Their spine is trash, dude. They're okay on the outsides. Like, Tierney's a good little footballer, I think, and Bellerin can be, but their spine is very poor, and Kane and Son will eat them all day long, dude. Every time Kane drops, both of their center backs are going to just follow Kane, and Son's in. And on the other side, Sissoko, if I'm Jose, I tell Sissoko, like, you eat Aubameyang's fucking lunch. Like, that guy should never want to play football again after this match. Like, punish him, you know?
Like, all you have to do with Aubameyang is get physical with him when he's off the ball, right? Put a shoulder in him, put an armor on him. He will whine, he will bitch, he will moan. They will have to score through Willian, who it looks like a shell of himself. He's still a very good player, but it's like a shell of himself. Or if it scores through Pepe. Like, who the fuck would want to run their team? You know, the other part is Aubameyang really hasn't been doing much. I don't think he scored like a goal.
He has 3 goals, maybe?
Dude, their goal this season was
right. I don't even know if he scored from open play, right? So it may not even be a threat. I will say one thing, and I'm going to kind of channel a bit of Ryan because he's not here, so I want to rep my boy. I think teams like Chelsea, teams like Arsenal, teams like West Ham, they come up when they play us. They do try to play a level up. So you could potentially see guys like Aubameyang who've been there for a while, who do kind of love the crest. They may show up and start to try to prove something. Same thing with Willian. He loves to beat us. He loves to score a goal against us. The rest of that team is absolute shit. Like, nobody on that team is even worth mentioning. I mean,
you bring up a good point, kind of. I don't mean kind of brought up a good point. What I mean is kind of on the flip side of that. Like, I don't know how much, Aubameyang plays for the badge, right? Like, I actually don't know how many at this point are actually doing that. What I've been seeing kind of more over this week is people not liking, Arteta's treatment of Mesut Ozil, whatever your opinion is on that. But apparently it's, started seeping into the team morale. And again, like, I have no opinion. I couldn't care less, what they do with Mesut Ozil. I think it's hilarious. Yeah. 350,000 euros a week for a guy who, you basically forget is on the team. So you want,
I love it. But I think to the point you made earlier on finances, don't you fucking love the fact that between Willian, Aubameyang, and Ozil, they have like $700K a week in wages or something?
Pretty funny.
Like
more, I think it's like close to $1 million. Those three right there, honestly. Like, I think Ozil and Aubameyang alone are like $700K.
Oh my God! Can you imagine, like, how trash does your organization have to be, top to bottom, to make a decision like that? And every one of those fuckers is over 30. You got
If I'm a
Exactly.
shareholder, I'm putting in a vote of non-confidence in that.
Yeah, straight
Yeah.
up, man.
Yeah.
And you and all three of us have talked about this and feel strongly about it. So I won't say much more than what it is. Like, respect Daniel Levy, because he will make sure that we never are fucking in that position, dude. We will never even be close to where they are financially. Never gonna happen. And that's all credit to Enoch and Daniel Levy and what we've done around this stadium. The Emirates is what buried them as a club. Not gonna happen with us.
Agreed.
No, I think Scott, I was looking at, you mentioned the spine. I was looking at the lineup for last week. Like, Xhaka is terrible. Sabah, too, like, they tried to rub in our face. Like, you can try and do that, but like, he's not. Like, he's, again, like I used to say, well, he's a better version of Harry Winks. I actually don't think that's true. One way
We have Tanguy and they have Xhaka.
yeah,
And
well, exactly. And like, and Nicholas Pepe, who's suspended, because we want him playing. Like,
Yes.
I don't know what his wages. His wages, because he's young, probably aren't outrageous, but he was 72 million euros. Like I was asking around, like, has there been a worse transfer in recent memory? Kepa is the only one that comes to mind for Chelsea, but like, he is basically a better version of like George Kevin Nkudu. Like, he is not good. Like, he once in a while will bury a shot from outside and that sort of thing. And you're like, okay, I kind of wonder, but he is not good, and he's stupid as well, which is too bad why, he can't play against us. But it's fair. Like, if you look at the teams just up and down, like, this obviously is a game that, we should win, but there is that X factor being a derby. And so, Mort, I agree with you just saying, like, well, what's worked? Let's just do what works. And, as long as
listen,
one, that's fine.
Yeah.
As well, I think it's feasible that the score could start getting out of control, because, again, defensively, like, I think Gabriel, I've seen a little bit of him. He's not bad. I think he's somebody that is decent, but that's one player, in kind of the back six that you're not worried about. Tierney, he's fine. Bellerin, he's okay as well. But beyond that, like, there's not a lot of talent there. And, like, yes, Aubameyang can score, Lacazette can score, and again, we don't really want to keep them in the game longer than we have to. But, like, they are not a good team. Like, there's a reason they're in 14th and like a -2 goal differential.
Yep. Yeah. No. And I think to your point, go with what works, right? Hugo, Aurier, Dyer, Rodon, Reggie, Sissoko, Højbjerg, and Ndombele, Stevie Bergwijn, Kane, Sonny. You go.
Are you surprised, Mort, that Scott hasn't said Højbjerg is the most important player so far?
No, I'm like, he will.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, he is.
That's three.
Oh, I told you Harden and Lamella. Let's keep track correctly here. We're at 5.
Yeah, staying corrected.
No, I all jokes aside, man, you absolutely have to go with what we've been doing. We don't change our approach. We change nothing. We go out and we win. I'm very, very. I'm more confident than I've ever been in my entire life as a Spurs fan for Sunday. And it's honestly a pretty good feeling, man. Yeah. Up the fucking Spurs.
I agree. And
yes, and I think we do want to kind of go back to where we started.
Oh,
yes.
Hold on.
I do want to say that Yunus Kabul was there when we beat Arsenal 3-2.
He scored.
He did. So I'm not saying we should channel Yunus Kabul, but I think if we want to win, we should channel Yunus Kabul and get this.
It's not a bad shout. Scott, what do you got?
Oh man, get the fuck out.
He's on the back.
Show me the back.
I'm motherfucking man.
Oh.
I thought you were the other person who bought the Kabul kit.
No, man.
That was Yunus Kabul.
Yeah, I have mad respect for the Kabul shirt, man. I liked Yunus Kabul when he was at Spurs, man.
We need to do an episode, Andrew. Maybe we should put this out on Twitter. Is bring your collection of stupid fucking kits.
Obscure jerseys.
I have a whole closet full of kits that make no fucking sense. I've got Kirkesh in there. I've got Holtby in there. I purchased the first DeAndre Yedlin kit in the state of Wisconsin because my buddy works right. So yeah, so we should have an episode and all we do is bring in our stupid fucking kits and tell us.
I like it.
Oh, fuck.
When we get those Montuckies, that's when we'll be doing that.
We're in.
Oh,
all right.
Okay.
Well, let's wrap up with a score prediction. I'm not going to ask you to predict LASK because let's call it what it is. We are for the people. We do what the people want to hear about the game against Arsenal. So Scott, I'm going to start with you. What is your prediction and your goal scores, assuming we score goals on Sunday?
I want to say 3-0, but I'm going to say 2-0 because I think 3-0 is more of the heart than the head. But I do feel like we'll put up a clean sheet for sure. I'm going to say 2-0. Goal scores, man, that's an interesting one. You always want to say Kane, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna say Sun bags, and I'm gonna go with the Gareth Bale goal off the bench. Actually,
Oh, wow.
why not?
All right.
Fuck
All
it.
right. All right.
Yeah.
All right. 2-0. Sorry, that was Sutton and Bale, Scott?
Bale, Sun and Bale. Yeah, 2-0.
Mort, same question to you.
Yeah, no, I'm going 3-0. I'm going to go Sonny, Stevie, and Harry Kane will have 2 assists. I think that's how.
Yeah.
I just
see that.
I just think our wide players are going to get behind them because
Yeah.
they're dumb. Their defense is dumb. Their midfield is dumb. And when you put the ball at Harry Kane's feet, I think Scotty called it best. The minute Harry Kane touches the ball, he's going to draw people out, even if it's a foot, even if it's 1 foot forward. Sonny and Stevie are too fast to not get behind those guys. So I think we see a Sonny brace, and I think Stevie scores a goal, and I think Kane has 2 assists.
Yeah, I like that shout. I'm gonna say 3-1 just to be a little bit different. I'll give him a pity goal.
Yeah.
A penalty or something stupid like that. So I also think Stevie will bag one that I can't bet against Son. I mean, especially against that Arsenal defense. Like Son's got his. I'll say Anton Bele is gonna grab one too.
Ooh, I like that.
I like that, man. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I keep thinking every game we talk about who's going to score. I keep wanting to say Pierre, man.
Yeah.
The big Højbjerg goal's coming at some point. I don't think it's this weekend, but it's coming, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna come in the Europa final. You fuck.
Yeah.
Hey, wait. Can I just share
man,
a story before we sign off? So we're taking a family vacation over Christmas. We're gonna drive across the country to Montana. So I was booking a hotel, and I'm looking at my Marriott app, and I'm looking, and I see I had booked a hotel in Poland for the Europa League final back in August. So I have.
Which city? Is it in Warsaw?
No. It's
Back off.
yeah. I think it's not there either.
The only other one I know.
Yeah. I literally have this hotel booked. Hang on. Let me pull this up.
Yeah, pull it up.
Oh, then.
No, it's in Sopot. I don't know if you guys can see this, but that's it. Sopot Marriott.
I've been to Poland.
Let's go, dude.
So that's where it is. It's in Poland. This thing has been booked for months. I'm there all week. I'm there for 4 nights. So if y'all want to come,
it's great pierogies. They've got great vodka.
Yeah.
Chicken ball live from
it's
Marriott.
It's Gdansk. It's in Gdansk, which is
that where it is?
West.
Yeah. So I'm guessing this was probably the closest I could get a Marriott to that place.
Oh, you Marriott points guy. Yeah, it makes sense.
I got that
4,300 zloty is the cost. So I don't even know what the fucking transfer is.
I still have some zloty. I'll send you my zloty.
Really? Okay, listen, I'll spend it for you.
All right. All right, guys. Well, I think I don't know how we top that. This hasn't been as bad as it normally is, but we got strong predictions for Arsenal this week. I got nothing else to say other than we got. I almost said Gdansk, but it's LASK. Gdansk is a long way off, but big North London derby this week. We're in first place. We're going to remain that way. We're obviously going to win the league, as Mort and I said. Scott refused to admit it, but that's clearly what's going to happen.
Sure.
On behalf of all of you, but I'm not going to stop you from saying it. Come on, you Spurs!
Hey, real quick,
you Spurs!
Hey, come on, you Spurs. And I got to shout out my beautiful wife. Happy anniversary, Kat.
Oh, thanks, babe.
She's
Best
here.
person ever.
Yeah.
Best person ever.
Patience is a virtue.
We have a whole week of an anniversary to figure out.
All
right.
Well, come on, you fucking Spurs, and come on, Scott and Kat.
All right. Good night, Spurs land.
Talking
Cheers.